Hey guys, so this is an interesting day in the true crime world, as was yesterday. Disturbing, but interesting nonetheless. So if you missed anything that went on yesterday, then yeah, go and check back my videos from yesterday. Yeah, rags to riches. Yeah, that was yesterday. Yeah, they've not identified her yet. But yeah. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we are going to look at the unsealed documentation regarding search warrants for Bryan Kohberger's apartment. Now, there's some information come out about what was found in Bryan Kohberger's apartment. But what I find more interesting at this moment in time is the extra details that this documentation gives us. So actually, probably should have changed my title, to be honest, because what they actually found in his apartment is interesting. Don't get me wrong, it's interesting. But yeah, what there's some really interesting bits and pieces in this documentation that people might miss, which gives us a much more clearer picture of what the crime scene was like and exactly what leads the cops were following. So, and secondly, I also want to talk about the other Brian, Brian Walshe, who had his arraignment today. So there were some really disturbing details came out in that arraignment. Some of you will have seen it, some of you won't. So I'm going to play the arraignment as well in this stream. So I'll start with Bryan Kohberger because he, I don't know, people seem to have all eyes focused on the Idaho murders. So let's start with that one, shall we? Should we start with that one? Let's start with that one. All right, so let's do what was found. Hold on, I've got like a million files now on my desktop, and I'm just sorting them out before I share my screen, or else it'll bug me. It'll bug me. All right, so let's line these up in a sensible way. Okay, so I'll share first of all what they found, and it's very interesting. I really don't know how his defense are going to fight this now. I think, to be honest, they've got him. They've got him banged to rights. They've got him. But like I said, that's not the most interesting that I find in this documentation. What did you see 2 days ago, William? What am I missing? The arraignment for Brian Walshe was today, and the documentation for Bryan Kohberger has literally just come out within the last hour. So I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, we've just started. Van Digger. We've just started. We started 5 minutes ago. So without further ado, okay, this is what they found. So we're kind of doing it backwards fashion, but I'm conscious that I've put on the title what was found in Bryan Kohberger's apartment rather than what was unsealed, which is more interesting. So Superior Court, Whitman County, Washington. This is just a list of what was found. So return of search warrant, residence and storage closet. Okay, and this was served on the 30th, so the day that he was arrested. So these were the items that were seized from the residence that were considered of interest. One nitrite black type glove, nitrite type black glove, one Walmart receipt and one Dickies tag, 2 Marshall's receipts. Now, don't know what was in these receipts. Dust container from his vacuum cleaner, 8 possible hair strands, 1 Fire Stick TV, 1 possible animal hair strand, which the media are speculating that this comes from Murphy, the dog, because Bryan Kohberger doesn't have animals, as far as I know. More hair, a computer tower, a dark red spot collected without testing, 2 cuttings from an uncased pillow that contained reddish brown stain, and then 2 top and bottom of mattress cover packaged separately, both labelled C, with multiple stains. So surely he wouldn't have been so stupid as to go to bed with blood still on him. So, like I said, without knowing the kind of the meat behind these bones, that's as far as we've got with what was in his apartment. So all of these things will obviously need to be tested. And then the results of that will come out, presumably, at a later date. So one black glove, I mean, okay. We don't know what the receipts were for. Yes, they're going to take his vacuum cleaner, because they always do. Because they, you know, they might think, well, he's got home, he's cleaned up, and things fall off, you know, fall off your person, and they collect the dust. These hairs, I mean, if they're all Brian's hairs, presumably they're taken because they're different colours than Brian's. The animal hair is interesting. What they will have obviously taken will have been the they'll have taken hairs from Murphy before he was given back, when they took him into custody, so to speak. What they will do is they will have taken hair from Murphy, so they'll be able to match Murphy with that hair, and the same with the other hairs that were found. CM claimed he found a black glove. Not a nitrite style black glove, though. It was like a glove that you wear when you're cold. Everybody's talking about what Chris found. Okay. Well, they can match it with Chris's glove anyway. And then they can take DNA from her now. They can take DNA from her, as long as it's got the follicle at the end. So 1 strand of hair can catch you. Yeah, this is the list from Brian's apartment. Yeah. See. Return of service warrant, residence and storage closet. from Whitman County, Washington. Seized from residence. So they've taken his internet devices. So they've taken his TV, his Fire Stick thing, and they've taken his computer. And then they'll test these. I mean, if they're his blood, you know, he could have gone to bed one night and had a nosebleed and the pillow and the mattress could be stained with spots of his blood from a nosebleed. So unless they come from the victims themselves, that's not interesting. All right. So, but do you want the really interesting stuff? Because we'll find out the results of these, won't we? You know, we've had the leak already, supposed leak. Do you remember that? I did a video about it yesterday, little video, tiny video about it last night. We've had this supposed leak from an insider, someone close, an investigator close to the case, about Bryan Kohberger stalking one of the victims or repeatedly messaging one of the victims on Instagram. A lot of people are saying it's fake news. It may well be, but who knows? Murphy didn't shed though, did he? Well, non-shed breeds, like Tilly's a non-shed breed. Tilly doesn't shed, but there's still occasional hairs that do like fall. It could have like stroked Murphy. So we're not talking about animal hairs being all over. Like I had a white Jack Russell. She died last year, and she could literally walk into a room, and even when she wasn't shedding, there'd be like hairs just falling off her. She was like this. She just had so much hair, and she was short haired. She just was double coated. Yeah, she was really bad for shedding. And if she brushed past you, she'd leave a line of hairs on your clothes. But my non-shedders, I had Bella and Jack, who were both non-shedders, and I've got Tilly, who's a non-shedder, and there's always hairs. Tilly's a Labradoodle, and she does not shed. She does not shed a coat. She does not molt. She grows a winter coat, and then in spring, I've got to take it off. Like I strip it, I hand strip it, because she doesn't shed it naturally. But she does drop hairs. There's some hairs, but we'll see. It might not be Murphy's hair. It might not be. Yes, you can get DNA, from hair. You absolutely can get DNA from hair. If you've got the follicle, you can get a full DNA profile. Doodles can shed. Short-haired doodles shed, just like any other dogs. But my Jack was a poodle, a pedigree with Kennel Club papers poodle. And he would, like if you stroked him, like occasional hairs came off him. So I lived for 15 years with a poodle. So I am telling you that hairs do fall off them. They don't molt. So when we talk about shedding, we're talking about molting. We're talking about like this when the seasons change, like in when it gets colder, they grow a winter coat. They grow a thicker coat. And then in spring, they shed it. When it gets warmer, they shed it. So a dog that sheds, then you've got hairs all over your house unless you know how to de-shed them. But a non-molting breed, you'll either have to groom them, like have them groomed every 2 months, like a poodle, or with Tilly, She's non-shedding, but once a year I have to hand strip her because her winter coat won't come off naturally. But she will drop hairs. It's not shedding, it's just dropping occasional hairs. So if I stroke her, there'll be occasional hairs that come off. But anyway, we've spent too long on this relatively non-interesting list, because until this is tested, this is all tested, it's the results that are interesting, isn't it? But what's really interesting to me is this. All right, so this is the full set of documentation. We're going to start at page 19, but I'm going to show you what the documentation comprises. So this is the complete list of documents that have been unsealed today, just now, an hour ago. And there's a plethora of information here. A plethora. Do you like that word? Plethora. I haven't read the full document yet. It's 49 pages. And no, we're not going to read 49 pages. There might be more. This is just one document that I've been able to get my hands on. There might be more to come. I don't know. Okay. So much of this is the rationale for why the search warrants were needed. Thank you, TTK, for the $9.99. Thank you so much. Any pug owners? My friend has a pug. That helps. Called George. All right. It gets interesting at page 19. So if you've got this document, if you've downloaded this document, then turn to page 19. All right, so we're going to just go through it page by page, and then we'll start really reading it when we get to interesting stuff. So this is the application. So they've got to put a rationale together as to why they want to search his apartment, right? So these warrants were, and then this is just a cover page about it being unsealed. So this is just a cover page from yesterday when it was filed. So these warrants were issued and served in Washington State because a suspect in the crimes resided and worked here during the times of the murders. These warrants and associated applications were sealed due to the sensitive nature of the investigation at that time. Since then, an extensive probable cause affidavit has been unsealed in Latah County, Idaho, which has alleviated the need for sealing of the return of service here in Washington. Thank you, Lizzie, for the $9.99, which all of my videos hardly comment or catch lives. Thank you for being grounded in facts. Oh, thank you. That's very generous of you. Okay. So unsealed because they don't have a reason to keep it sealed. I think if his apartment had been in Idaho, had been in the same county, then they would have, I don't think they would have sealed these documents. I think it's just simply because it's another county and another state that they sealed it all. And then obviously there's no reason, there's no reason to keep it sealed really. But there's some really interesting information in here. Okay, so what's this one? So this is the application for the search warrant, which is not that interesting. But let's read through some of this. So they're talking about victims. So Washington State Constitution recognizes victims of crimes have rights. Of course they do. So severe and detrimental impact on crime victims, survivors of victims, witnesses of crime, and the civic moral duties. So the basis for this motion is that there are 2 surviving victims' witnesses of a now notorious and much publicized murder/burglary in Moscow, Idaho, whose full names are listed in this search warrant and search warrant application. These warrants were issued and served in Washington State because a suspect in these crimes resided and worked here during the time of the murders. These warrants and associated applications were sealed due to the sensitive nature of the investigation at that time. Since now, blah, 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 has been released. The victim should have a level of protection that can be provided by having their initials substituted for their full names in the search warrants and search warrant applications, which became publicly available from this court. So this is, again, just the kind of the more recent stuff. Okay. So again, that's just another one about. All right. So we get to the actual warrants now. So this is 12/29/22. All right. So in making this determination, this court did not consider the information in the supplemental disclosure re-DNA test as evidence supporting the existence of probable cause. So all of this is the rationale. So like the probable cause documentation is the rationale for the arrest. It's like the same kind of thing, that they need the rationale to search a property. You can't just go in and search someone's property without probable cause, can you? Without the actual rationale as to why you're doing it. So, but this particular document here, it's the next one along, doesn't have the DNA, doesn't have the search warrant for DNA. All right. So you are commanded to search within 10 days of this date the premises described as follows. Please bear witness to this address because I don't know how many people have tried to correct me and said that when I've put Bryan Kohberger's address on a map that I've got the address wrong. No, I haven't. The address is in the probable cause affidavit. They was like, no, it's 1640, not 1630. No, read the documentation. It's 1630. It always has been 1630. Dear me. Right, so it just apartment 201 is located on the northeast corner of the second floor of this building, blah, 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 blah. Right, so seize, if located, evidence of the above listed crimes, including blood or bodily fluids, human tissue, skin cells, or items with blood or other bodily fluids. So that's why they took the items that had red brown staining on, which is most likely to be blood, and dust. So they want to do analysis of his vacuum cleaner dust because it contains skin cells. Knives, sheaths, other sharp tools, including any daggers, swords, anything that indicates ownership of them, including sales receipts. So I wonder whether the receipts that were taken relate to buying a weapon. I don't know. Can you buy a K-bar knife? Let me just, can you buy a K-bar knife at Walmart? Wrong one. That was just a screenshot. Don't need that, actually. So, I don't know that you can buy a K-bar knife at Walmart. I think that will be to do with his clothes, won't it? Marshalls. What's Marshalls? What kind of shop is Marshalls? Because I'm in the UK, so we have Walmart. It's called Asda, but it's the same company, and they don't sell weapons in Asda, but they sell clothes. So Dickies are clothes, aren't they? But what do Marshalls sell? Yes, you can. What, you can buy a K-bar knife in Walmart, really? Clothes, okay. Marshall, right. Okay. Any images, whether digital or on paper, that show Ethan Chapin, Kaylee Gonzalez, Annika Nodal, and Madison Morgan, and then the surviving roommates, and or the house. So that'd be why they've taken his Walmart as guns. Cool. Wait a minute. I'm just going to slow the chat because I forgot to slow it down. I'm just going to slow the chat because it's going too fast for me to read now. So please hold. I'll just be a second. It doesn't take long to do this. Okay. Oh, I'll put my thing in the playlist as well. Hold on. Please hold. Pop subscribers only mode on so we don't get palm bombed. So I did learn something today, that you can buy guns in Walmart. Interesting. All right. I'm back in the room now. Okay. Good stuff. All right. So that'd be why they've taken his computer. Clothes. So dark shirts, dark pants, masks, shoes with diamond pattern sole. Because that will because of Dylan's description. Trace evidence, including DNA from blood, skin cells or other sources, footprints, fingerprints, hair, whether human or animal stroke dog. Data combinations, whether it's digital, paper, showing an interest in or planning of murder, violent assault, stabbing, cutting people. Yeah, that's not going to work though. That's not going to work for Bryan Kohberger. That line is that one. You might as well just delete it because he's a criminology student. He's doing a PhD in criminology. So if somebody looked at my internet history, if somebody looked in my internet history, and we'll circle back to internet history when we get on to Brian Walshe, because that is disturbing, incredibly disturbing, more disturbing than my internet history. But when I was working as a psychologist, especially if I was right in the middle of a research project, writing a paper, then my internet history would have murders, assault, it's like, it would, rape, it would, it would have been incriminating if I was the suspect in a murder or a violent assault. So it has to be in so as not to give the defense a free pass in this regard. It's got to be focused around the victims or the house, in my opinion. So electronic digital devices, blah, blah, blah. Anything associated with anything of that. So devices. Information that can be used to calculate the position of a device between the above dates. So stuff to do with GPS. So that's pretty standard, honestly. All right. So that's that one. So that was signed on the 29th. So this one. So this is the next piece of documentation. I, Don Daniels, Assistant Chief, WSU Police Department, declare I have personal knowledge of the matters herein and am relying on witness statements, information provided by my fellow officers, including fellow officers from the state of Idaho. On the basis of the following, I believe there is probable cause that Bryan Kohberger has committed the crimes of murder in the first degree, burglary, and that evidence of those crimes and weapons is located in, on, at, or about the following premises. So again, this is a rationale document as to why they need to search his apartment. So, so that's the person, Dawn Daniels. A little bit about her. Persons providing information. So the people providing the information that go in this report were from Moscow PD. And this is where things get potentially very interesting, because it gives us more information than the probable cause affidavit did. And when I was reading it through, I thought, I've read it. This is the probable cause affidavit. They've just copied it word for word. They've just copied it word for word. What are they putting this whole thing in here for? But there's some subtle additions, which is very, very interesting. So if we just refresh our memory with what am I doing here? Where's my affidavit gone? Nope. Wrong one. See, I should have lined my files up properly, but I didn't. All right. So if you remember, the probable cause affidavit that we've seen was by Brett Payne. Thank you, Rebecca, for the $5.99 Australian dollars. Thank you so much. It's very kind of you. This was written by Brett Payne, and some people, when the very first day that this was released, said, why is this called Exhibit A? Why is it not called probable cause affidavit? Is this real? That was what somebody actually said. Is this real? And I said, yeah, but this is just one person who was at the scene. This is the writing. This is from the perspective of one person. So everybody who attended that scene, right, I know Sharon, they did. Yeah, they found they found a child in the place where they expected Athena to be. I don't think she's been publicly named. But yeah, I put it on my community wall yesterday because it came out after I did my live on her. Yeah, so every police officer who attended that scene will have written a report. So it just so happened that they chose Brett to release as the probable cause affidavit. But there's many, many more reports. There'll be reports from the first responders. There will be a ream of different reports. You don't realize, unless you've actually worked with the police, how many reports police officers write. They write reports for everything. They don't write reports there. Well, they should do. But in this case, they will have done. Because it all has to go in discovery. So this is from the perspective of someone else. This is from the perspective of Dawn Dawn Daniels, who wasn't there. So she's taking Moscow, Idaho police officer Sergeant Dustin Blaker. And then other officers and witnesses are identified in Sergeant Blaker's sworn statement. So the bulk of this, when we get on to down here, is another perspective. Yeah, it is true. Coffee. Oh, coffee on my shirt. It was actually Alicia. It was Alicia who confessed and told them where to find her. Did a live on it yesterday. Okay. So what we get is another perspective of the crime scene from Sergeant Blaker. So the probable cause is described in detail in the attached Exhibit A sworn statement of Sergeant Blaker, which is hereby incorporated within by this reference, just as if fully set forth here. Based on the information, I believe the evidence exists, and then they go through again why the apartment should be searched. But included within this is what Sergeant Blaker said about the crime scene. Also, there's a supplemental regarding DNA as well. So this was to get the DNA, or in reference to the DNA found on the knife sheath. Kelly, welcome to the Secret Agents Club. Welcome, welcome. You watched my live, but was clicking back and forth between it and the news on Coco. Yeah, well, if you look at the probable cause affidavit for the arrest of Ivan Adams, then it was the confession by Alicia Adams that led them to the location where she was found. So I've been informed. So remember, the person writing this is Dawn Daniels. I've been informed by Detective J.R. Talbot of the Idaho State Police that a sheath was recovered, and the Idaho State Crime Lab obtained a male DNA profile from the sheath. This is referred to in Sergeant Blaker's sworn statement. And then they've got the trash. So again, we've seen this in the probable cause affidavit. We've seen they've just copied that out. So this information is being provided to the court pursuant to my duty and obligation to be fully candid with the court. I do not believe this information is exculpatory for the suspect. However, if the court believes it is exculpatory, then the court should consider the supplemental disclosure in its evaluation, blah, blah, blah. All right. Okay, now this is what we want. This is what we want. Diana, thank you for the $5. Karen, Texas, member for 4 months. Can I leave a link for this, please? I've just downloaded it from, it was Jennifer Coffendaffer shared it. And she'd put it in a, yeah, I'll do it after. I'll find a link to the share file. But yeah, because I've not read it all, so I've literally skimmed and thought, right, that's really interesting. That's really interesting. So I've just clocked the things that I thought was really interesting. Like, I'm going through it page by page with you, but all of us will have to read this and read it and read it. Like the probable cause affidavit, I had to read it about 4 times. Like, I read it first with you guys. I read it for the very first time live, but then I had to read it 2 or 3 more times to get it to sink in. Brian should go shopping. Well, shopping's better in Moscow, apparently. Always bring a gun to a knife fight. Maybe they did. Maybe they had a gun and they couldn't get to it. Unless the gun's on your person or within reach, it's no use, is it? Jazz King, thank you for the $5. Mary, thank you for the $10. You're very welcome. Thank you so much. All right, so this, you will notice in some paragraphs is word for word to that of Brett Payne. So you have to dig a little bit to get the interesting stuff. So that's just a little bit about Dustin Blaker. Oh, something else I had a wry smile about. People said, why did they get a rookie cop to write the most important document in this case so far, the probable cause affidavit? Why did they get a rookie cop to write it? And I didn't comment. I've never commented on that, because I knew that was just something that they released to the public. Every single officer who attended that scene will have written a report. So yeah, so they could have released this as a probable cause affidavit, but it's got more details in it, much more details in it than the PCA that we've seen. But it starts off pretty much the same. So November 13th, Brett Payne and I responded to blah, blah, blah. So it's all the same. So Officer Smith takes them to the... So Officer Smith's one of the first responders, already seen the carnage. So they go to Xana's bedroom, Xana's driving license, all this. It's just almost word for word. You will also note there is not... Oh, this is still doing the rounds on YouTube. There is nothing redacted from Brett Payne's probable cause affidavit. There is nothing redacted. It was a spur page. It was a photocopying error. It was a spur page. It was a spur page. But yeah. So we've not got the we've not got any more details about the victims themselves. So go upstairs, they find Murphy, and then we've got the information about where they were on the evening of the 12th. All of this word for word. So what Dylan said, TikTok at 4:12, 4:17, security camera. So Dylan's description, we know all this, but let's keep going. Let's keep going. So vehicle, suspect vehicle 1 where it goes, Indian Hills Drive, around there, 329 to 420. We got the 3-point turn on Queen Road. All right, so then we've got speeds off at 420, southbound on Willenta Drive, and then we go to the identification of the model of the Elantra. Then we get on to WSU, the surveillance data, all word for word. I mean, when I say word for word, there might be the occasional word difference, but it's all the information's the same. I do actually think it's word for word. So if you believe me on that, I mean, obviously read it yourself, but let's go down to the interesting stuff. All right, so that's about the phone. Again, word for word. So one of the reasons why Brett Payne's affidavit was, well, Brett Payne's report was used as the probable cause affidavit was because it was him that did these searches. It was him that applied for these search warrants. So one wording difference you'll notice in this report is that Sergeant Blaker is talking about Brett Payne. So it makes more sense to release Brett Payne's report rather than Blaker's report, because Payne is the one that did the work. Right? So Sergeant Blaker is just using Brett Payne's words. So on December 23rd, this is just an example, Payne applied for and was granted a search warrant for the phone records. Payne received records for the 845 form. So that's the rationale for why Brett Payne's report was released as a probable cause affidavit rather than this one. But keep going, that's all about the form. Keep going, we've read all this. Okay. So in this one, he was granted a search warrant for Kohberger's or the trace on the phone to see whether he was in contact with any of them. And that's the 12 previous occasions. We're nearly there, guys. We're nearly there. Okay. So I want to put the affidavit and this up on the screen at the same time to show you where this one ends and the other one begins. So let me see if I can do this without no, it's not going to work. It's going to be too small. It's going to be too small. Exit full screen, go away. All right, it's going to be too small if I do it that way. All right, bear with me. All right, so this is the probable cause affidavit that we all know and love. All right. Pale Fox, supposedly a list now from apartment search. Yes, we've done that. We've done it. If you were here in the first 10 minutes, we did that. We're going through the interesting stuff now, because all that stuff that's been taken from the apartment has to be tested. So unless it's tested, then it's not interesting, is it? Yes, it's interesting that then some things were found, like a hair, but it's got to be tested or else it's not interesting. So I'm going on to the interesting stuff. All right, so it ends. The probable cause affidavit that we all know and love ends with Pennsylvania. Right, it ends with a little piece of information about them finding his dad's DNA and matching it. So there's a little bit more information about that in the new documentation. It amounts to the same thing, but the last thing that we see here is about the phone. So the phone being in the area, travelled in the hours immediately following. Right. But if we get to this one, and we go to page 19, so it's page 19 of this document that it gets very interesting, because that's where the probable cause affidavit ended. And then there was just a little paragraph about Pennsylvania and about his dad's DNA. But then we get this, which is way more interesting, in my opinion. So if you go to page 19 of this document, so in the entire document, it's page 35. So in the entire PDF, it's page 35. But in Dawn Daniels' document, it's page 19. Check this out. What's that? Dickies what? Dickies brand make men's overalls, do they? Thank you, Donna. So it could be receipts for clothing that they suspect he wore at the murders. On his internet history, he could have Google mapped the house. Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure he did. And on Zillow. I'm sure he did, yeah. Sure he did. All right. So this is interesting. This tells us information about the crime scene that we have not seen before. So this is brand spanking new. Trigger warning, because we're talking about blood and stuff. So the King Road residence contained a significant amount of blood from the victims, including spatter and cast off. So bloodstain pattern resulting from blood drops released from an object due to its motion. So blood spatter analysis is fascinating. Fascinating. Sidebar. We got to have at least one sidebar. It is relevant, I promise you. Where I used to teach, so the job that I had before I had the last job, but where I used to teach, one semester, I was teaching this class in one of the lecture theatres, and week in, week out, the guy that was in the lecture theatre before me was always running late. Always running late. You were meant to be out at 10 to of the hour so that the next lecture in that room could start promptly on the hour, right? So you were meant to be packing up at 10 to, you were meant to be packing up and getting your students out, right? And then the next lecturer and set of students could come in and things used to run really smoothly if everybody did that. But no, this guy used to keep talking and talking and talking. Well, this must have been about the 5th week on a row that all my students were stood there waiting. I was stood there waiting. So I just barged in. I said, excuse me, you're always running late. I don't mean to be rude. However, you're always running late. He said, I'm nearly done. Anyway, on the screen, on this massive screen, because this lecture theatre had a huge screen, there was just this, literally a murder scene. Like, it was an actual murder scene. Nothing blurred out. It was a man who'd been murdered and there was blood spatter everywhere. And he just went, oh my God, you're not scared of blood, are you? And I went, no. he said, well, sit down then, because this is the most interesting bit of the lecture. These guys here have sat through 2 hours and this is the most interesting bit. I said, right. So I sat down and it was a murder. He was an ex-police officer, and it was a murder that had happened in Blackpool, which is probably about 40 miles from where I live, like a couple of years probably before he ended his service. So it was like a solved case. It was all done and dusted and whatever. And he had all the crime scene photos, and he was showing these crime scene photos. Oh my word. And he was talking, he was actually a forensic scientist. And so he'd been a police officer, retrained, done forensic science. And he was talking, his lecture was about blood spatter analysis. And the most fascinating subject in a situation that is so graphic and gruesome and horrific. The spatter that comes off can tell you so much. It can tell you so much about not only the weapon, the direction of the weapon, but the likely speed at which that weapon hit that surface, i.e. that victim. They can find so much out about blood spatter. In crimes that involve knives, there tends to be a lot of blood spatter, especially if those victims have been dispatched quickly. What I mean by that is throat slit, stabbed into the heart. So places in the body where you will die. You will die. There's no chance of survival. You will die. If you're stabbed in the heart, you will die. If you're stabbed in the throat, in the carotid artery, you will die. And the amount of blood will be horrific. So yeah, that this will be one of the reasons why they were in there for so long, why the forensic guys were in there for so long, because there is such a lot to do. Every single blood spatter has to be analyzed. Like they do. It's unbelievable the amount of science that's behind that level of testing. So that's why I thought this was really interesting. So including spatter and cast off, blood stain patterns resulting from blood drops released from an object due to its motion, which, based on my training, makes it likely that this evidence was transferred to Kohberger's person, clothing, and shoes. Thank you, Lisa, for the $20. That's very generous of you. Thank you so much. Based on the location of the suspect vehicle and the 84584 phone immediately following the murders, it is probable that Kohberger went home to his residence at 1630 North East Valley Road. He didn't know, did he? He didn't know, did he? What did he do? I mean, he did go home. He did go home, but not straight away. It took him an hour to get home, and he went the long route round. He did not go straight home. Thank you, Diane, for the $1.99. Instead of going, let's get the old Maparoonie out here. Time to get the map time. Map time. Map time. Okay. All right, I'll put Kohberger's residence in as well. What did you do that for? Why did I tell you I wanted Street View? No. So don't do it, please. What is it? 16:30. All right. So 10 miles from the Kohberger's door, 16:30, Northeast Valley Road, Step 2 Apartments, to 1122 King Road is 10 miles. So it should have taken him 20 minutes. Thank you, Lisa, for the $10. That's very kind of you. Thank you so much. So 20 minutes, tops. Tops. But what did he do? What did he do? Well, based on his phone pings, we know this from his phone pings. I did a whole video about his phone pings a couple of days ago. Not very many people watched it, honestly, but it's the devil's in the detail. The devil is in the detail. So, sped away from the scene, caught on surveillance at 4:20, speeding away. He should have been home at 20 to 5. All right, sped away at 4:20. If he wanted to get home as soon as possible, he would have easily done it in less than 20 minutes. He would have been home at 20 to 5. But he didn't. He didn't, because based on his phone pings, he went all the way down here, pinged off a tower at Blaine, which is down here, went all the way down here to Genesee, pinged off a tower that services Genesee, and then he either, there's a little back road that you can just about make out if you really, really look there. He could have gone down this winding country road across to Unionton, or he's gone down there and then gone back up, or he could have gone even that way down that country road there. But whichever way he went, he pinged off at Genesee, and then he pinged off a tower that services Uniontown. Then he goes all the way back up here, and he's caught on a camera on Johnson Road. So that's just coming into Pullman. And that was 5:25. And then he's caught on about 5 different surveillance cameras going up Stadium Way, which takes you through the centre of Pullman back to his apartment. So it took him an hour and 5 minutes to go from 1122 King Road all the way down here, all the way down there, miles and miles and miles out of his way, all the way down here, back up here, right, to here. 5:25 he's caught. And then by the time he gets home, it's going to be about 5:30. The devil's in the detail. So what was he doing? What was he doing for an hour and 5 minutes when he could have been home by 20 to 5? So why was he only getting home about 5:30? What was he doing? And bear in mind that this literally is the middle of nowhere. Like Blaine is a tiny, 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 like nothing there in Blaine, nothing there, few houses. All right, nothing along here. We got a church, there'll be a few houses. Genesee's a little bit bigger. All right, that's kind of like, I don't know, got a school. Okay, Uniontown. And down here is the Snake River. But this is where he goes later in the day. So it's like about 12:36 or something. He's caught on a surveillance in Clarkston, right near the Snake River, but that's in the afternoon. We're still in the early AM. So in the early AM, he's gone down to Genesee, over to Unionton, which there's not a lot there either, another just small town, through Colton. Chambers, there's nothing there. Look, it's massively rural. So what was he doing driving all that way? What was he doing driving all that way? Was he disposing of items of clothing? Was he disposing of plastic sheeting? Because you know what I would do if I wanted to commit a murder and I wanted to drive there? Well, first of all, I wouldn't use my own car, but that's by the by. How would I not get blood spatter on my car? What would I do? You cover it in plastic sheeting, but then you've got to get rid of that plastic sheeting somewhere. Right, so, but he's been that sloppy at the crime scene. I'm not really sure that he'd have thought that all out, but I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, it's perfectly logical conclusion to make by Sergeant Blaker here that based on the location of the suspect vehicle and the 84584 phone immediately following the murders, it's probable he went home to his residence. But it took him over an hour to get home to his residence when it should have taken him 20 minutes. So, you know, for those who missed the beginning, this is the list of what they found. And they didn't find that much, honestly. Or the things that they took. So they didn't find bloody clothing. They didn't find the shoes. They didn't find the Vans shoes with the diamond pattern, did they? They've not found very much, so where's that stuff? Where is it? Well, it's been disposed of, hasn't it? So he's got one glove that may or may not be relevant. Got some receipts for clothes. Dust from his vacuum cleaner, because they want analysis of skin cells. A number of hairs, one of which might be animal hair. They've took his computer, standard. And then some items that could contain blood. So dark red spot, 2 cuttings from an uncased pillow of reddish brown stain. So that could be from a nosebleed. And then 2 top and bottoms of mattress covers packaged separately, both labelled C, multiple stains. So we don't know what type of stains. Be anything. Right. So until those are tested, it says 1 tested, but so what was the result of that? What was the result of that? We don't know what the result of any of this was. Right. So they didn't find Vans shoes. They didn't find clothing of any kind that was relevant. So where is it all? Well, that's why I don't think what they found in his apartment to be that interesting. And why I'm focusing on this, because the devil is in the detail. At that time, it's likely he may still have had blood or other trace evidence on his person, clothes and shoes, including skin cells or hair from the victims or from Gonzalez's dog. So they found some hairs, right? It could be the hairs that bag him, that get him. But if he's disposed of his clothes, already, then where's his hair come from? It's likely that some trace evidence was transferred to areas of his apartment through contact with the items worn during the attack. So what he could have done was drove round and round and round, like down south to Genesee, across to Unionton, back up. Elaine, welcome to memberships and the Secret Agents Club. Welcome, welcome. He might have got rid of some stuff at the time and then realised there was more stuff he needed to get rid of and has took that as well. And maybe the stuff that he did take home had hair on it. Who knows? one likely location for clothes, masks, shoes that he was wearing during the attack would be his residence. Well, by the list, they didn't find it. While I believe Kohberger is visiting family in Pennsylvania over the current school break, I believe he intends to return for the start of next semester. I expect his belongings to still be in his residence. Well, they didn't find it. And they've not found the weapon either. Not from his apartment, anyway. This is just a list from his apartment. So we don't have any information about what they found at his parents' home. They also searched his office at the university as well. So not recovered the weapon used in the homicides, which would indicate he took it with him from the scene. Based on my training, it's likely to have evidence on it. But yeah, they've not got that. So one likely location for doing so would be in his residence or office. One would not want to conduct such planning in public. Oh, planning the event. So where did he plan it? Did he plan it at home? Did he plan it in his office? The murders appear to have been planned rather than a crime that happened in a moment of conflict. So the police believe this was premeditated and carefully planned. We've not got the results of the blood spatter. This is just telling us that there was blood spatter. We won't get any test results of that kind until the trial. The plans may include a review of other murders or violent assaults, stabbings, cuttings, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, that's why they took his computer. And then it just goes on about the digital devices that they want to get. So that's all standard stuff. They always take your computer. No matter what crime they get you for these days, they always take your computer. So also, wholly apart from user-generated files and data, so the stuff that you consciously plug into your computer, digital devices and media typically store, often without any conscious action by the user, electronic evidence pertaining to virtually all actions taken on that digital device. However, and often information about the geographic location at which the device was turned on and or used. This data includes logs of device use, records of creation, modification, deletion. So that stuff is like, because it was a computer tower that they took. So it's hardly going to be taking a computer tower all around the region. So kind of that stuff is more relevant to his phone, honestly. What caused the blood spatter? Being stabbed. Being stabbed caused the blood spatter. Shelley Root, perhaps he drove to where new rubbish collection was about to happen. No. No, well, no, because it was the early hours of Sunday morning, so there wouldn't have been any rubbish collections on Sundays, would there? I mean, certainly in the UK, trash doesn't get collected on Sundays. My trash gets collected on Thursdays, but they never work on Sundays. Even if they're like behind, they never work Sundays. So I bet a lot of these locations don't even have like trash collection. Like though Genesee and Uniontown probably do. I don't know. Tell me if you live in that area. Do we know if the evidence list from Pennsylvania has been released? Not to my knowledge, no. Being stabbed causes a blood spatter. Well, yeah, it does. So, well, now they've got his phone, then that's going to be more interesting than than what's on his computer tower. Although I would imagine that he's probably not been that bright in what he's been searching on the internet. If he's anything like Brian Walshe, which we're getting onto soon, if you're here for Brian Walshe, oh my word, strap yourself down, because that's the internet searches that guy did are astonishingly telling. If circumstantial evidence has ever bagged a conviction, it is that. I'm telling you. All right, so all this again is about his devices and why they need his devices. So based on all of the information, there's probable cause to believe the evidence of the above listed crimes exists in the below described digital devices. So what they want is evidence from email addresses, social media accounts, messaging app accounts, which leads me to believe, right, that the information about Bryan Kohberger allegedly repeatedly messaging one of the victims on Instagram could be true, because that came out the day before they've released this stuff. It's just interesting timing. It's interesting timing that maybe he did have an account on Instagram that he was using. But because they'll have all of this by now. All of this will have come back by now. But we're not going to know. We're not going to know anything of that kind. We might get a little bit at the preliminary hearing in June. We might get some interesting tidbits. But the majority of it will be saved for... it will be saved for the trial. So also they want information that can be used to calculate the position of the device, so GPS. So again, that will be more interesting in terms of his phone and his car. Again, talked about that in a video the other day. So... based on all of the above information, I conclude that there is a possibility that Kohberger committed the 4 murders. I have probable cause to believe evidence of the crimes committed at the King Road residence will be found at Kohberger's residence, located at 1630 Northeast Valley Road, apartment G201, Pullman, Washington. I have probable cause to believe that Bryan Kohberger committed murder in the 1st degree and burglary. And then again, the list of the stuff that they want. Some of which they got, some of which they didn't get. Well, we don't know whether they've got yet. So that's all of that stuff. Okay. Based on the above information, I'm seeking a search warrant for Kohberger's office at the Washington State University campus. I have probable cause to believe evidence of the crimes committed at the King Road residence will be found in Kohberger's office, located on campus. So we don't know if they found anything from his office. It's common for individuals to keep documents, records, and information described in their office. Kohberger's office is on the other location identified where this evidence could be found. So it's in the Wilson Short Hall, 1475 Glen Terrell Mall, Pullman, 4-story brick building. Kohberger's office is number 12. 12 is a student office shared by Kohberger and 2 fellow WSU students who've both been named. Both been named. Elaine, welcome to the Secret Agents Club. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So I don't know if Kohberger would be that stupid as to plan a murder in the same office as two of his fellow students. I don't know. Be interested to know the layout of the office, I guess. Could the other people see his screen from where he sat? Find it more likely, given that he lived at home, that he would have planned any murders at home. You'd have to be really stupid to plan a murder at work. But then again, people have been that stupid. So, yeah, dot the I's, cross the T's. Canada, welcome to the Secret Agents Club. Welcome. Okay, but we don't know. If anybody, like I said, I've got this documentation, which is 49 pages, which is just a bunch of documents relating to the search warrants, the acquisition of the stuff. And then I've got the list that they found at his apartment. I haven't got anything else. So if anything else has come out that you've found, can you let me know? So we want a list of what was found at his office. We want anything found in his vehicle, and we also want anything found in Pennsylvania, because we haven't had anything about that yet at all. And this documentation only relates to the search warrants for his apartment and also his office. So none of this relates to the search warrant at Pennsylvania. So that's just a list of what they found there. And that's it. That's what we've got. So interesting snippets of information. We've got a little bit more than the probable cause gave us. A little bit more of the insight into the thinking of the investigators than what we knew. And slowly things, I think, will start trickling out, either as leaks. There might be an occasional leak that turns out to be genuine, or it will be formal. If it's formal, it's not going to be anything more exciting than this, because clearly the next big info dump, as in, results of things, is going to be June at the probable cause. Not the probable cause, the preliminary hearing. We've only got up to that point, we've only got probable cause up to that point. So, what do you think to all that? I've got so many things open. I don't want to close anything, because what I tend to do when I close stuff is I tend to close StreamYard by accident. And then and then you guys stay there, but I disappear. Which is never good. Oh, I agree with you, Rick. I think the evidence is going to be overwhelming when it goes to trial. Yeah. I mean, if you think about what they've got so far, is way more than what they normally put in a probable cause affidavit. And the search warrant's pretty standard, right? They're going to take your computer, they're going to take the duster in your vacuum cleaner, they're going to take anything at all that looks like blood. They're going to take that, right? That's standard procedure, standard operating protocol. But when you get down to the totality of the evidence, when you put it all together, the probable cause affidavit for this particular case, yes, there's some holes in it. However, it's the probable cause affidavit. If you watch my live that I did yesterday on the probable cause affidavit for Ivan, what's his name? That loser, Ivan Adams. I mean, that probable cause document is 1 page. It's 1 page based on what his estranged wife said and his phone records from one particular location. That's it. And they just happen to have found a child's body in the location that Alicia said it was going to be. But how do we know? This was the point that I made in my live. When I read it, I'll get it up on screen. I know this is not a live about Athena Brownfield, but just to prove a point here, let's just look at it for a minute. If I can find it. I saved it. I'm always doing this to myself. Oh, here it is. Okay. Right, so bear in mind that the length of the probable cause affidavit for Bryan Kohberger. Now look at this. 1 page. 1 page. And half of that page is the header and the blurb that they put at the beginning, who that person is, the affiant who's writing it, the person who's writing the affidavit. Half a page. And I took one look at it, and I'm not saying that Ivan didn't do it. I'm not at all. But this is a defense attorney's dream, because you've got the estranged wife blaming the estranged husband, and you've got phone records from Ivan's phone. So Ivan's defense attorney is going to say it was Alicia. Alicia did it. That's how she knew where the body was. That's how she knew exactly, this graphic detail that she gave. It's because she did it. And she took his phone in an effort to frame him. And what jury is not going to say, well, yeah, that could be the case? All the defense attorney has to do is put in one juror's mind just the essence of reasonable doubt. And that will be discussed in the deliberation room. And other jurors will think, yeah, we can't convict him because we don't know. It wasn't her. We can't be sure. So this state, the state of Oklahoma, has got a uphill battle. I mean, they're going to have a lot more evidence. And they may well do. They may well have a ton more evidence than what they've put in this probable cause affidavit. But if people are saying that the probable cause affidavit in Bryan Kohberger's case has got holes, then I don't know what you're going to say about this against Ivan Adams, because that's not just holes, that's a crater. That's a crater. And I'm not saying he didn't do it at all. One of them did, but at this moment in time, I have no idea. They probably both had a hand in it. Who knows? But this is a defense attorney's dream. Bryan Kohberger's case is not. Bryan Kohberger's case is the type of case you do not want to have when you're trying to defend someone who most probably did it, because there's multiple lines of evidence that pretty much prove that you did. Good girl. Welcome to the Secret Agents Club. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, let's move over to the other Brian. The other Brian. Oh, dear me. The other Brian. Brian Walshe. Brian Walshe was arraigned today. So those of you who don't know this case, it's the disappearance of Anna Walshe. So Anna Walshe, 39-year-old, mother, wife and mother. So wife to Brian Walshe and mother to 3 little boys aged 6, 4 and 2. Brian Walshe said that on a New Year's Day, she went to work. She went to get a plane because they lived in Massachusetts, in the name I always forget. But anyway, and she worked in Washington, D.C. So New Year's Day, there was an emergency at work and she had to fly in the early hours of New Year's Day, January 1st. And she's never been seen since. And he didn't report her missing. It was her work colleagues that reported her missing. And then when they investigated, they got a search warrant to search his place, and they found a broken, bloody knife in the basement. They found evidence of him lying as to where he'd been, because apparently he got lost on his way to his mother's house and instead found his way in Home Depot, where he bought $450 worth of cleaning supplies. I don't know about you, but I don't think I've ever spent $450 on cleaning supplies in my entire life. In my entire life. Because things like bleach and stuff, it's cheap, right? It's cheap. Look how much cleaning stuff can you spend? $450 in Home Depot, right? Mops, buckets, bleach, tarps. Oh, you name it. He went all out. And yeah, and then they found a hacksaw in trash bags. They found some very strange internet searches. But we've learned a little bit more today at the arraignment. So let's play it. It's not long. Arraignments are never long, but it's very, very, very concerning. The internet searches, though, like I was listening to it thinking, you did not search that. You did not search that. Seriously, you did not search that. But yes, he did search that. He did search that. So well, yeah, there is that. Maybe. Like, you get used to your own dirt, don't you, I suppose? It's like Tilly, you know, she'd like, when she comes in, especially if she's had a bath, she rubs herself along the walls. So there's like, at Tilly height, there's like patterns of where she rubs herself along the walls. And I'm so used to it, I don't see it. I don't see it. But, yeah. All right, let's I've not got this up on YouTube. I actually did have it up on YouTube, and I've closed it. I closed it when I was closing things down. All right, Brian Walshe. Court. If I spelt Walsh right, it'd be good, wouldn't it? Okay. Right, I'm going to play this from... Who shall I play it from that doesn't copyright strike? I'll play it from Law and Crime Network, because I've done stuff from them before and they don't seem to mind. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll change the way I'm doing this so that I can mute out. All right, so this is the arraignment from today, earlier today. Some of you will have seen it, some of you won't. If you've not seen it, buckle up. Thank you, Trixie Star, for putting the copyright disclaimer up. Buckle up, because the internet searches are, it's priceless. If it wasn't such a tragic situation that he's now been charged with the murder of his wife and the mother of his 4 sons, aged 6, 4, and 2, right? Those 3 little boys have got to live now for the rest of their lives without their mother, and knowing the details of the internet searches that their father did shortly after, allegedly, it's likely that he murdered their mother. So anyway, right, let's play this. I watched this morning, and the sound wasn't great. I have to say, the sound wasn't great. Tracing Truth shared it. I don't know what site she shared it off, but the sound wasn't great. But they never are from court. So I'll put the CCs on. Everything else I can't help you with. But I'm going to mute out now. So I'll see you back in 12 minutes. 12 minutes.
Anna was 39 years old and mother of 3 children, 2, 4, and 6. Anna worked in Washington, D.C., splitting her time weekdays between D.C. during the week and staying in her house in Cohasset, where she lived with the defendant and their 3 kids. On January 4th of 2023, Cohasset police received a call from her Washington, D.C. employee indicating that she was missing. She was due to report to work on January 4th, but did not appear. She had a flight on January 3rd from Logan to DC, which she did not board. Cohasset police went to their house at Chief Justice Cushing Highway for a well-being check. It was only at this time, when they met with the defendant, that he first reported his wife missing. Defendant stated his wife left the house at approximately 6 a.m. on January 1st, New Year's Day. He stated she took an Uber or a Lyft to go to the airport, that she was returning to DC for work. Records were checked and there were no Uber or Lyfts to that house on January 1st. Defendant said he had not spoken to his wife since the early morning hours on New Year's Day. Cohasset police were granted permission to ping on his phone to locate her or her phone. And his phone indicated that it was stationary in the area of the Cohasset house on New Year's Eve until 3:14 a.m. on January 2nd. There were no outgoing calls made at that time, and at 3:14 a.m. on the 2nd, it was turned off. Defendant stated Anna should have been wearing a dress, a black jacket, hunter boots, watch, ring, as well as carrying a Prada purse. Defendant gave a time of 6 or 6:10 a.m. on the 1st when he last saw her. What I'd like to do now is just describe his actions on the days from January 1st. Defendant indicated on January 1st at 3 p.m. he did some errands and went to his mother's house in Swampscott, but got lost because he didn't have his phone. He said he knew he was lost when he saw the pirate ship on Route 1. Defendant stayed 15 minutes, then went to Whole Foods and CVS. Surveillance was checked and he did not enter either of those stores. On January 1st, defendant Googled using his son's iPad. Some of his searches are as follows. Keep in mind that the defendant said he left at 6 a.m. At 4:55 a.m. on January 1st, he searched how long before a body starts to smell. At 4:58 a.m., how to stop a body from decomposing. At 5:20 a.m., he searched how to embalm a body. At 5:47 a.m., 10 ways to dispose of a dead body if you really need to. At 6:25 a.m. on the 1st, how long for someone to be missing to inherit. At 6:34 a.m. on the 1st, can you throw away body parts? At 9:29 a.m., what does formaldehyde do? At 9:34 a.m. on the 1st, how long does DNA last? At 9:59 a.m., can identification be made on partial remains? At 11:34 a.m., dismemberment and the best ways to dispose of a body. At 11:44, how to clean blood from wooden floor. At 11:56 on the 1st, luminol to detect blood. At 1:08, what happens when you put body parts in ammonia? At 1:21 p.m., is it better to throw crime scene clothes away or wash them? Those were on the January 1st. There was also information gained from the defendant's phone, which showed on January 2nd, he was at Home Goods in Norwell, where he purchased 3 rugs. There were also more Google searches on January 2nd. At 12:45 p.m., Hacksaw best tool to dismember. At 1:10 p.m., can you be charged with murder without a body? At 1:14 p.m., can you identify a body with broken teeth? On January 2nd, following those, the defendant was seen on surveillance at the Home Depot in Rockland. In checking the surveillance, the defendant is observed on a security camera pushing a cart. Items included cleaning products, mops, brushes, tape, towel, a tie-back suit with boot covers, buckets, goggles, baking soda, a hatchet. He had a face mask and rubber gloves on at the time he was pushing the cart in Home Depot. At 5:32, he was seen at the Derby Street in Hingham, now removing the gloves and the mask. Data from his phone also tracked his whereabouts on January 3rd. Locations were traveled at 4:27 on January 3rd to an apartment complex in Abington. Surveillance shows the defendant's Volvo, as well as a male fitting the defendant's appearance, exit a car near the dumpster. He walks to the dumpster carrying a garbage bag. He's leaning, and it appears to be heavy as he has to heft it into the dumpster. He walks to the dumpster with the garbage bag and leaves it. On 4:48, he hit another complex in Abington, and at 5:10 p.m., cell phone shows records at another apartment in Brockton. Video shows a party consistent with his appearance and his Volvo. Again, he discarded items in the dumpster. On January 3rd, that same day, at 1:02 p.m., he did some more Google searches. What happens to hair on a dead body? At 1:13 p.m., what is the rate of decomposition of a body found in a plastic bag compared to on a surface in the woods? At 1:20 p.m., can baking soda mask or make a body smell good? On January 4th, the following day, the defendant went to Home Goods and TJ Maxx. He purchased towels as well as bath mats and men's clothing. At 4:15 that day on the 4th, he went to Lowe's where he purchased squeegees and a trash can. On January 4th, when Cassie police went to the house on the well game check, officers observed his Volvo with seats down and a plastic liner in the back of the car. The next day, a view of the Volvo showed his seats folded down, floor mats with some dirt, and the carpet appeared to show fresh vacuum streaks. When asked about the liner, the defendant said he threw it in the trash. Chemists later analyzed the car and there was present blood in the car. On January 5th, review of the data from the defendant's phone showed his phone traveled at 8 a.m. first to his daycare and then to Swampscott where his mother resides. The phone traveled to the complex where his mother lives at 9:30 a.m., went for about 5 minutes around the building to the southeast corner. In the southeast corner of that complex is where there is a dumpster. The dumpster was later secured and searched. On January 8th, police and crime scene services searched the house in Cassie. They found blood in the basement, a knife with the presence of blood. The knife was damaged. A second knife was also found in that basement. In addition, there was heavy-duty large top plastic liners purchased from that Home Depot trip. As part of the investigation, police checked for activity on honest credit cards, banks, flights, trains. There was no activity since she was last seen on January 1st. Police also tried to track down what happened to the bags that the defendant was seen throwing in the dumpster earlier. This was over in Abington. These bags and what was in them were already picked up and taken to a location for shredding and being incinerated. By the time police located that, they were already destroyed. However, investigators did secure and search the dumpsters from defendant's mother's complex in Swampscott. It was searched at a transfer station in Peabody. Investigators recovered 10 trash bags. Inside the trash bags, many of these items contained stains consistent with blood, affected blood. Among the items secured were towels, rags, slippers, tape, tie-back suit, gloves, cleaning agents, carpets, rugs, hunter boots, Prada purse, a COVID-19 vaccine card, in the name of Anna Walshe, a hacksaw, a hatchet, and some cutting shears. The purse and boots were described as what Anna was last seen in. A portion of the rug was heavily stained with red brown stains. The substance was consistent with also having baking soda on it. There was a portion of a necklace consistent with one that Anna had been seen wearing in photos. The state crime lab performed testing on certain selected items that were recovered from those trash bags. There was human blood found on them, and then they were sent for DNA testing. The findings are as follows. On the slippers in the interior, Anna and Brian Walshe were contributors to the DNA on those slippers which had blood on them. On the exterior, Anna and Brian Walshe contributed to the DNA found on those slippers. The Tyvek suit. On the interior cuffs, Anna and Brian Walshe contributed to the DNA that was left on them. On the exterior left pant leg, Anna Walshe was contributed to the DNA. On the interior right sleeve, Anna Walshe was a contributor to the DNA that was found on the Tyvek suit. There was tissues which found that Anna Walshe contributed to the DNA. There was one other earlier Google search, which you note. On December 27th, defendant Googled, what's the best state to divorce from there? Rather than divorce, it was believed that Brian Walshe dismembered Anna Walshe and discarded her body. The bags were later discarded in Swampscott and contained Anna's property and the items used to clean up, as well as the DNA that was left behind. The Commonwealth is asking that the defendant be held without bail for the murder of his wife.
Thank you, Mr. You wish to be heard at all?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right. Defendant will be held without bail pending indictment. Do we ever take for probable cause, or just dealing with you reserve time for the grand jury?
Not at this time, but I will. Your Honor, we have a date of February 7th already for the Mercedes. Oh, February 9th, I apologize. If we want to put on for status on that day?
And that's by Zoom, Your Honor, correct?
I see.
Yes,
Do you want a status date or probable cause?
Status date is fine.
Okay. February 9th or status, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So you're held without bail until February 9th, 2023, for a status date.
We're all set. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you both.
Well. I wish I had a light in this room because I would have liked to have been on camera when I was playing that, because I just spent the entire 12 minutes shaking my head. Like, how can you be so stupid? Yeah, exactly. Lost for words. Yeah. Like I said, I listened to this morning, well, like early afternoon my time. Chasing Truth shared it, and I was watching it, and I was dumbfounded at some of those internet searches. Like, they're just absolutely pitiful. You know, does baking soda get rid of, does baking soda make a body smell good? Like a dead body smell good? You know, how to dismember a body. I mean, come on. And then the most telling in relation to motive. Now, the state doesn't have to prove motive. They don't have to prove motive. But I think the motive is money. I thought the motive was money beforehand, but I'm sure that the motive is money, because one of his searches was, how long does someone have to go missing until he can inherit? So Anna Walshe had sold property, right? She's very, well off. They were having financial struggles though, but she was the breadwinner. She was an executive at a real estate agent company. Yeah, he was a stay-at-home dad because he was forced to be. He was on probation for fraud. It's a federal case. He was on probation. He was on an ankle tag for selling fake Andy Warhol paintings. I mean, that's stupid enough that you think that you're selling these really expensive paintings and an art dealer or an art connoisseur isn't going to know that these are fake, blatant fakes. So he was caught for that. So yeah, he was a stay-at-home dad because he was on house arrest. Well, not quite house arrest. He had to tell them where he was going. So that's why when he went to Home Depot, he said he'd gone somewhere else. He'd gone to his mother's house or something and got lost. But yeah, I mean, just absolutely, like, really, really dumb. I bet the investigators, when they looked at his computer, they looked at his internet searches, they thought, we've got a right one here. So, yeah, welcome. We had another member as well while that was going on. Let me just find... I might not be able to find... Oh, there we go. Annie, welcome. Welcome, both of you, to the Secret Agents Club. There was a comment before, just as how did he kill her? Well, I think a knife, because there was a bloody broken knife in the basement. But not necessarily. We don't know. We don't know yet. He might have used that for, God forbid, dismemberment. He may have strangled her or so. I don't know. We don't know because the autopsy report isn't out. So we don't know what her cause of death was. Oh, the autopsy report isn't out because they've not found her body. Duh. They've not found her body yet. So no, we don't know the cause of death. There's no autopsy report because there's no body. But one of the other searches he did was, can you be done for murder if there's no body? So I think he obviously isn't a connoisseur of true crime, is he? I mean, how many no-body homicides have been tried? And when you've got evidence, overwhelming evidence, DNA evidence from trash and blood, that's Anna's, when you've got an absolute lying toe rag like him. He's not made his plea yet. No, that was just his arraignment. I mean, look, he's going down unless the prosecution may have made massive errors in the procedural running of this case that the defense can pick up on and he can get off on a technicality. There's no way he's getting away with it, in my opinion. But I mean, if it goes to trial, he's going to get convicted. But there's no death penalty in Massachusetts, so he might as well take it to trial. Because it's not like he can plead down to a lesser charge. It's not like he can plead down from the death penalty to life imprisonment. So he might as well take it to trial. I mean, there's no way that, it could be pled down to manslaughter or anything like that. I wonder what he's thinking. I couldn't read him. Like, it was just like this like emotionless stare. Which he's got that kind of face. I was seeing the comments in the chat. He's got that kind of face that you just want to slap. You just want to slap some recognition into him about what he's done. And I just don't think it's there. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what was it? Can you identify a body from broken teeth or something? They don't need teeth. They don't need dental records these days when they've got so much blood. When you've got a bloody knife and a bloody, like, blood in a basement, how long does DNA last? He obviously thought he could just, like, I don't know, pour some bleach on it and squeegees, use some squeegees to get rid of all the evidence. Well, he's not done a very good job, has he? At all. Not at all. Buglove has gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, Buglove. Who got the memberships? Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Oh, Domestic Goddess was gifted. Pasha Bell was gifted. No Nope, Robert, and OK Drop Dead was gifted a membership. Thank you so much. We made it to 1,000, did we? We made it to 1,000 last time, and I didn't notice until I think it was, no, it wasn't last. Maybe it was last time I was on this channel, and I didn't notice, so I didn't give any memberships away. So I'm going to give some memberships away tonight. Let's give some memberships away. So in addition to the 5 that Buglove has given away, I'm going to give 20. I'm going to give 20 memberships away in a minute, shortly. I'm going to go soon because we've been on 2 hours. And for those of you who've just come in, then you're going to have to rewind all the way back to the beginning because you're right at the end of the live. You're right at the end of the live, and you've missed out on going through the search warrants that have been unsealed from Bryan Kohberger, the list of items that have been taken from his apartment. I'm just going to, before I get my credit card out, I'm just going to have a look on Twitter just to see if anything else has come out about Bryan Kohberger, whether there's anything else that has been there isn't. I don't even know why I'm sharing it. There might be. Bryan Kohberger search warrant unsealed. Police must have taken additional seized items other than what was outlined on the search warrant. No computer or laptop listed. Yeah, there was. Yeah, there was. I know you can't see this because I'm just sharing my window, but one computer tower. That's what we saw being brought out. So, yes. There was a computer tower. Maybe he did have a laptop, but maybe that was at his office. Maybe he didn't have a laptop. Maybe he just had a computer tower. People don't read. That's what we've seen. But if anybody does find a list of what was taken out of Pennsylvania, holy smokes, blood found at his WSU apartment. Yeah, we've read that. We've read all that. So there's nothing new for tonight. Nothing new for tonight. So what we still want is information from Pennsylvania. We want information about anything that they found in his vehicle. Why is Brian Entin evil? Brian Entin? Brian Entin? He's not evil. Ah, Brian Entin's not evil. Brian's. There's a few Brians that are looking to be evil. Is Brian Walshe? Hold on a minute. That's what's come out in the media, that his dad come come from his dad. Come from his dad before his dad died, allegedly. I don't know whether he's actually been diagnosed, but that's what came out in the media. Okay, what am I doing? Gifting memberships. All right, are you ready for this? I'm just double checking that I'm not sure. I am paranoid. Yeah, I'm not sharing my screen. Okay. 20 memberships. Are we ready? So just before I click buy, just let me tell you how this works for those of you who don't know how this works. So 20 people will be chosen, not by me, but by YouTube. So it's based on, I don't know, interaction with the channel is all I seem to be able to glean from it. So they're chosen by YouTube, not me. I'm not being favoritismist here. And if you've commented, if you've liked videos, I guess, all that's taken into account. I don't know. So I buy them. You get the membership for a month, after which time it will then just automatically delete. It's not going to sign you up for anything. Unless you want to continue with your membership, then you're not going to pay one cent, 1 penny, one anything. You'll just get membership for a month, paid for by me, courtesy of YouTube. Right, I'm clicking buy right now. So let's see here. Takes a minute. There we go. Gift has been announced in chat. There we are. Right, I've got to wait now to see who gets them. Are we ready? Marie. Oh, stop jumping. So we've got Marie, Erin, Musically Mom, oh, Music City Mom, sorry. Karma, Cool Cat Lady. Oh, stop jumping. Cecilia, sorry. Shazza, Lindsay, Lolo, Cunning Linguist, Alyssa, Nikki, Blandbreel. Who else? Serene, Searching for Truth, Jackie. Oh, it's jumped again. It's so annoying. Jess, Jen, Robbie. I think that's it. Sweet Insanity. Yep. So I think that's it. If I've missed your name, then it doesn't matter. You've got it anyway. So we've got 25 new members just by gifts. So if you're on a computer, you can gift memberships as well. If you're on a computer, I don't think you can do it if you're on a mobile device. But where you see the super chat, like it's like a little $sign. If you're on a computer, if you click on that, then one of your options is super chat, super sticker, and then membership gifting is an option. So if you do want to donate in a future stream, then maybe give some memberships. It's a way to donate. It donates to the channel, but also it gives memberships out. So it's a good way to do it. So I like that. It's one of the newer functions that YouTube has put on that I think are good. So it's good, sharing the love. So to the new members, and welcome to those as well who've, joined off your own dollar. That's great. That's great. So we've got quite a few new members tonight. So you'll be able to see now the members' videos. So there's some members' lives there. There's a few like little videos, and then I do status updates as well. Not as often as I should, because I always forget. I'm not very good at updating any statuses on any site. So yeah, don't feel that I'm leaving you out of anything. But I'm just not very good at updating statuses. But anyway, that's and of course you might just want to donate to the channel. It's just another way to donate to the channel. All right, guys, I am going to go now. We've been on over 2 hours. Don't forget, I absolutely bug love. Absolutely. Don't forget watching, liking, commenting after the live. Absolutely. If there's anything at all that helps the channel more than anything, you know, if you can't afford to donate and you feel bad that you like my channel and you can't afford to donate, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. That's just an additional extra. That just helps me out, helps the channel out. But the best way to help the channel is to like the videos, watch them all the way through, and leave a comment. Share them if you can. If you've got social media, share them if you can, because all of those show YouTube that the videos getting interaction. So liking, sharing, commenting, and watching all the way through, those 4 things really get videos up in the algorithm. So it means that more people see them, more people will see them who don't normally watch my videos. So it's just all good. So if you like my channel, then those are the ways that you're probably doing anyway, right? And sometimes you might forget to like it, but just remember to just click like. Leave your DNA on the like button. Yeah. So there you go. All right, I'm going to go now. So thank you so much. We've still got like 1,500 people in chat, but I'm going to leave you all hanging. If you've just come in, then just rewind back to the beginning. I don't take my lives off. I always leave my lives up. So you'll be able to come back at a later date and watch this and whatever. And I will try and find a shareable link for that document, the 49-page document. So I'll try my best. So thank you so much for spending a couple of hours with me. Thank you, as always, to the moderators. You work very hard. You know, thankless task, but I'm thanking you now. Thank you so much. Thank you to the people who've donated. Welcome to all the new members. And I'll see you very, very soon. I'll see you tomorrow in the next video. Bye, guys.